Well, it is Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock. It's time for us to get this show on the road. We got a real special night tonight. We have a guest that's going to be talking with you all about shaping your story, shaping your videos, shaping your I don't know. Everything short of going to a gym, I guess. So, if you stop and think about it, when you create a video, you're just telling a story. And there's different ways you can tell a story. So the more interesting you can make it, and the better you can shape what you're saying to get those thoughts across to other individuals. I'm sorry. Sherry's waving across the room here, and I don't. and the person I got back in the green room can't see her. So.
I know. That's what makes it so fun.
So anyway, I'm gonna bring her out here. I'm gonna chat with her for a little bit, and then I'm just gonna give her the whole screen and let her do her thing. She's been working on this for months and years, and am I building this up enough for you?
All smiles.
Okay. So without too much further ado, here she is. Say hello.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I don't know if you know what my channel is, but it's called Welcome to Chickenlandia. And Chickenlandia has actually been around for a while. First it was a place in a farm store, because my husband and I used to own a farm store here in Linden, Washington. And there was a room called Chickenlandia. But Chickenlandia has a story. It's been around for a while. And I have mostly an informational channel, but I am working right now on telling my story as well. And I was talking to Sherry, I think it was the day before yesterday, and I told her, I said, I used to work in Hollywood. I was, before you get too excited, I was a personal assistant for most of my time in Hollywood. But I spent a lot of time with people that were creating stories. And my dream before I left, and it's still my dream, it's my renewed dream, was to be be the next Steven Spielberg. But, somehow that didn't happen. I don't know what, they missed out. But when I was there, I learned a lot. And even before I had gotten there, I worked at a PBS affiliate. I took many film and writing classes. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, I was really trying to be a writer in the entertainment industry. And so then I took lots of workshops and all this stuff.
Well, excuse me just a moment here. There's rumors flying across the screen here
Oh no, none of them are true.
That you've been kissing Billy Bob Thornton, is that?
Okay, first of all, I told you never to tell anybody about that. And he kissed me, okay, and that kind of stuff does not fly in Hollywood anymore. And he was married, I'll have you guys know, he was married to Angelina Jolie. When he found out I was from Texas, he gave me a kiss. And I was really surprised and kind of creeped out a little bit.
Okay. So I had no idea.
Oh, wait, I said the rumors weren't true. So just forget everything I just said.
Oh, all right. So I'll just kind of back out here, but let me just share with folks in the chat here. She cannot see the chat, so if you have questions, please put them in all caps and what have you, and I'll make sure to relay them to her. She didn't want to be distracted, so she can't see the chat. So you can talk about it all you like. If you put it in lowercase letters, I'll never relay anything.
Oh, no.
She'll have to catch it on the replay.
Oh, dear.
So anyway, I'll just kind of back out of here, and here she is again.
So, before I was so rudely interrupted by I know who said that too. I know who you are. So anyway, yeah, I have some experience under my belt. I did not make it as a writer in Hollywood, but as I always say in Chickenlandia, you don't let go of your dreams, you just make new ones. And so that's really what my YouTube channel is about. It is my new dream. And I have realized that all of this stuff that I have been learning that I didn't think I was ever going to do anything with is actually becoming really valuable right now. And so that's why I talked to Sherry and I was like, look, I really want to bring some of this to the table. So would you guys like to have me on? And then she sent me a message this morning and it was like, how about today? So I, of course, said yes. So do you guys want me to, so do I just like go into it right now, Daryl, or?
Wiccan Chickens Homestead is asking, what's your favorite chicken breed?
My favorite chicken breed? Ugh. My favorite chicken breed is rescue chickens.
That's a breed.
But I'm kind of partial to really tiny ones. So I love Old English game bantams. I love modern game bantams, and I love Saramas. But I say that I love all my chickens equally.
That's what Nathan says, all of them.
Yes, all of them. So, if there's no more chicken questions, I'll keep going.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think some people get confused because when they think about YouTube videos, they're not really comparing it to what they see in other forms of entertainment, like a book or a movie or, a television show. It's like, it's like it's in its own category. It's a YouTube video. So why should I be kind of thinking of it in terms of these other forms of entertainment? And I think that it's actually really, really relevant. These other forms of entertainment are really relevant to YouTube videos because, and I know that, oh gosh, I'm totally having a brain fart right now. Two big channels that I love did a video recently about telling your story. And I think a lot of the bigger channels and a lot of the big YouTube gurus do try to say, look, it really is ultimately about your story. But then it kind of, I think people get confused of like, okay, well, what do they mean when they say tell your story? Because I could get on and, make a YouTube video and start telling my life story, and that, maybe it would be interesting, but if you don't know me and you don't care about me and you're not invested in me, then it's not going to be very engaging, and you might click away because you'll be like, well, I don't really care that much. And not out of meanness, but you're just not invested in it. And, the other thing is if you watch, like, let's say there's like a big Hollywood movie that has all the stars in it, all the highest paid stars. It's got a good director. It's got beautiful cinematography, the best special effects you could buy. And the movie doesn't do well. And nobody likes it, even though it had all these ingredients there. It was supposed to do well. Well, I would say that there was a crucial part of that story missing. And the other things are also part of the story, the characters and the actors, and the special effects and the music and all that. But the most important part of that story is the character development of the story. And on YouTube videos, there is a main character, and which could also be called a protagonist. And that character, that main character, could be you. It could be your audience. It could be something in your videos, like it could be your farm. But there is going to be a character, a main character in your videos, whether you are developing that character or not, it's there. And it's best to develop that character. That's what gets people invested in your channel. So they might come for information, or they might come because they saw you on Tuesday Tech and they subscribed. But what is going to keep them there is their investment in your story. And you could also say that's the hero of your story. You know, who's the hero of your story? So that's just something to think about, like, okay, or to start thinking about when you're working on your channel and when you're thinking about how you're going to make videos and shoot videos and edit your videos. Well, who is the main character? And then the other thing is that you can have a main character, but that character also has to be relatable. So if you had, like, let's say you had a character in a movie or something, but they were just like so obnoxious and there was no relief from that, and they were the main character, the movie wouldn't do well because the character is not relatable to the audience. So I like to say that the way that you make a character relatable is you show its humanity or its imperfection. And that doesn't mean that, you know, you're just going to go fumbling through everything on purpose or be manipulative about it. I think the main thing is that you should be yourself. And then that gives other people permission to feel like, oh, well, I can relate to that person because they're being human. They're being who they are. And sometimes that means they might make a mistake, or they might feel sad, or they might be really happy, or they're facing obstacles, but I'm relating to the character. I was thinking, you know, I took a whole class on making your character relatable. And one of I can't remember all the examples, but I was trying to think of some. And I was just thinking, okay, well, if there was like an opening scene and there was a man and a woman in a bar, and the woman was really interested in the man, and so she was being very just kind of trying to be really cool and trying to play it cool, and then she kind of fumbles on something, and then she runs to the bathroom, and she's in the bathroom like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot or something. Immediately right then, this character who could have been obnoxious is relatable. And it's because the writers showed her humanity. I hope I'm making sense here. I'm really kind of getting into it. So I'm not saying that like I said, I'm not saying that you should be manipulative about it or really formulaic about it, but just be genuine. And I think then it will come out, your relatability will come out in an organic way. You know, we like organic farming. It'll just come out naturally.
Okay, let me just kind of inject a couple things here.
Yeah.
are you kind of suggesting that anytime you create a video, you should have not necessarily written out, but kind of the outline of a script behind the video that you have it planned per se, or?
I don't think so, because I think that, I mean, it depends. Like, everybody's creative process is different, and there's nothing wrong with that. That kind of moves into more of like performance, and I mean, we all are performing. That's what we're ultimately what we're doing. But if you want to just have it be natural, then I don't think that you would necessarily write out, okay, well, you know, I'm going to like fumble over this rock while I'm trying to garden or something so that I can appear relatable. You wouldn't want to do that. But you could say, you know, when I first started gardening, I was really scared that it wasn't going to work. And you know, it was hard for me kind of to get over that hurdle and to just start doing it. So, and I've seen a lot of channels do this where they do actually say this. But what I think is that, you know, you should just go ahead and do it, because that's what I did. After I finally did it, then, you know, it just opened up this whole world for me. And that's just a little tiny thing that you can say in a video that's kind of a window into your life, while you're also giving valuable information, because there has to be an exchange. It can't just be, your viewer needs to get something from you, especially before you've got them involved in your story. They need to get something from you. And usually in our genre, that's information. So that's one way that you can kind of develop your character. You're just showing people who you are, but not like hitting them over the head with it, if that makes sense. You know, sometimes it could be too much. So it's really, I mean, it is an art form to know when to reveal a little bit and when to kind of hold back a little bit. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Stringfield Ridge Farm has stated here. They say we don't script. They just discuss what they're planning to do, but Lee never does. Lee just does it off the cuff, so to speak, and I know that's how we do it here. I just turn the camera on Sherry, and she just goes to town, and I go hibernate out in the living room while she's doing her kitchen stuff, and then she says it's time to turn off the cameras, so I go back in and turn them off. But
you've got a crew. You're the crew.
I don't need to direct her.
Yeah.
You know, she has that ability naturally.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that natural ability. Some people struggle. So what do you suggest for those people?
What I suggest for those people is just thinking about these steps that I'm going to explain today, starting with who is the main character. And all you're doing is thinking about it and writing it down, like, oh, okay, well, my farm is the main character. Or if you're a purely informational channel, you could say, well, my viewers are the main character. And then it's just going to kind of, I think that would be the first step to really help you start to shape the story. And I actually think that when you start to think about those things, it's just going to come out, and you're going to learn more about what you're trying to say.
So, do you feel that before you start a video, you should have an end in mind on that video?
I think that you should, before you start the video, if you can, or you can do this when you're editing, try to think about when you're in school and you're learning how to write an essay. You have an introduction, you have the body of your essay, and you have the conclusion. And a book would have that, a movie would have that, even commercials have that, and of course television shows have that.
I have that unless the dog gets a hold of it. Smudge gets a hold of it, I lose parts. He'll eat the back of the book or the front of the book.
Yes. Well, I don't know how it ends, but it was good while it lasted. So yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know. I might have something in my teeth because I was just eating. I was shoving food in my mouth before we went on. Yeah, I think that's important. You know, there's a whole thing on YouTube where you don't want to give too much of a conclusion that gives people an opportunity to say, "Oh, hey, it's over," and they kind of click away from your channel. I like to think of YouTube videos as just imagine that it always says to be continued at the end. And, you know, the idea is you want to keep them there until it goes into your next video. But definitely you want it to have a shape. So you might think about that, you know, and like I said, that might not be, for me, sometimes I don't think about that until I'm editing. And then I'll kind of, you know, shape it from there. Does that make sense?
Well, it all makes sense. It's just the degree of sense.
Does it make an acceptable degree of sense?
I'm good with it.
Okay, good.
And I told everybody to bring notepads, so I'm hoping that they're good with it.
All right.
Wait a minute.
Random Mini Farge and Forge is talking to the audience more key to be relatable instead of documenting per se.
I would absolutely talk to the audience. I would. I think that's part of the exchange. If you've ever watched a channel and you kind of feel like, wow, it's like they're talking to me, that you're getting something out of that. You're getting a feeling that makes you feel more comfortable. You feel more invested in that person, and you feel more like you know that person. And I'm not saying that there's videos where it's just purely, I mean, I think that when you're documenting, you can still be talking to your audience. But there's some videos, like let's say it was just a video about a car, and it's just a purely informational video, like this is the car, you know, blah blah blah, and these are the wheels, and this is the window, but that wouldn't be a channel. That would be like I did a search on this car just to find out what parts were in it.
But then you also have car movies like, what was it, Catherine? Is that what it was called? That car that had the soul that went.
Oh yes,
Christine.
Catherine. Who the heck is
wow,
Catherine?
We're bringing it back.
Yeah, my daughter had a Christine. Her first car was Christine. And she nicknamed it that. Oh yeah.
Didn't Christine
possessed.
Do bad things?
Yeah, it was possessed. Yeah, that's what my daughter named her first car. That one was possessed also.
There's a way you could develop your character, just be possessed. Yeah. Probably get 1 million views.
Oh Lord, could you see that?
So does this, based upon what you're talking about, does this apply to virtually any video, or more of a vlogging style, or more of a
I would say any video.
Okay, so
any
you don't differentiate then between vlogging and DIY type things, and in other words, the back end substance of the video is the same across the board, is what you're saying.
Well, what I would say is that there's a story being told in all of those kinds of videos. If they're engaging channels, there's a story being told. Like even I watch a lot of Brian G. Johnson, and I watch video influencers. I'm going to them to get information, but when they're talking to me, they're saying, you know, I want to help you with your channel, and this is how your channel can, you know, finally make it, and we're going to do this. And there's always kind of an inspirational aspect to it. And what they're doing is they're making you the main character. You're the hero of their story. And you're the one that's going to overcome this obstacle that is YouTube and Conquer the World. And that's what keeps you coming back. Whereas you could do a video where you're just, someone's just talking and saying, you could read an article that just says, 2 million YouTube, here is what you do. And, do tags and titles, and you might read that and you might get good information from it, but you won't get invested in it. Does that make sense? I keep asking. I keep asking if it makes sense.
Are you trying to convince me or you? I'm good with it.
Is it helping is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that,
So
I'm making this easy to follow.
So Peace Low Homestead said, so the video should have a point and conclude near the end.
Yes. Some people disagree with me on this, but, be careful with the conclusion that you don't make it too long of a conclusion, and that it's not like a full wrap up before your video is over, because you want people to stay on until your video ends completely. And I used to do this thing where I would have my Welcome to Chickenlandia logo come on, and then it would say, there was like a 10-second long moment of text that would say, if you love this video, like and subscribe, and find me on chickenlandia.com. And then it would go to the end screen. And that really messed up my time, the time that helped me out here, the time that people watched my videos. In
other words, they were clicking away.
Watch time.
Yeah, your watch time, your view time.
The watch time.
Yeah, because they were clicking away.
They were clicking away. And then they click away and they're going to somebody else's video. They're not staying on my channel.
Okay, and so why do you think they were clicking away?
Because I gave them too long of an opportunity to be like, oh, it's over. And it's kind of like, if you think about what Netflix does and what Prime and Hulu do, it's like it just ended and you got 5 seconds to to make a decision. You're either going to the next episode, or you got to have fast fingers if you want to exit out of those end credits before it goes to the next episode, because they want you to keep watching.
Okay, so do you feel then that every aspect, especially in the beginning of your video, whatever video you're creating, no matter what type it is, has to leave enough question that people can't click away?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I don't know if I think sometimes you have a question that you would want answered, and maybe you wouldn't even really know what it was, but you're just curious. Oh, okay. I kind of want to know more about this. And so you don't click away.
We did a talk a couple weeks ago about intros and outros.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been shown that there's a lot of channels, even, great big channels, that as soon as the intro is playing, people click away.
Oh, yeah. Definitely if you make it too long. And I have seen that where...
Even if it's a 3-second intro. The very fact that they show that intro, boom, people leave. So
yeah, and there could also be just some of like, oh, well, I didn't want to watch this video, or I didn't mean. I know that certainly happens to me where I'm like, I didn't mean to click on this, and so I just click away. So
from that standpoint, I've started to do some adjustment on our videos. Just for example, the past 2 videos that we have put out, that Sherry's done the kitchen thing. It doesn't have a fixed intro in it. I'm actually scrolling some verbiage across the screen while she's talking as an intro to keep an interest.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of the video, the big YouTube gurus, They would say, get right into it. Just start talking right out of the gate. I think for homesteading channels, it's a little bit different because I think that just our viewers want to see a little bit of scenery, but it needs to be very short, and you need to make sure that they know what they're going to get from that video very early on. So I would say within the first 10 seconds.
Okay, and just to let you know, we've had some comments flowing through here. Somebody says they picked their video based on the topic, and other people are saying that if the music's too loud at the beginning, they're gone.
Yeah.
Or some people are saying at the end of their video, if it drags out too long, they're gone.
Yeah.
And yet, I can show you a number channel. I'm sure you know this as well. And I'm talking big YouTubers where there's a full 10 minutes out of a 20-minute video that is pure garbage. It's either intro, it's total waste, but they also have 7.5 to 10 million subscribers, and so it's pretty tough to argue with that kind of success.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with timing. Like they got into YouTube at the right moment, or they're riding some type of wave that has to do with timing. But it's funny that there's some people that I will literally, I feel like I'd watch them do anything. I'm so invested in their character that I just want to see what they're doing. I just want to know that they're there and they're, whatever they're doing, I'm invested in it. And I think with some of those channels that people are just invested in that character. And that's what keeps them watching. That's what makes it interesting.
Okay, Haskin Family Vlog is asking, so if a viewer skips through an intro, does that take away from watch time?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm not sure. I see the questionable look in your eyes. Because when you start a video, that's a view.
Mm-hmm.
If you skip ahead to another segment, that's another view. It's a second view.
Is it?
Yes, even if it's the same person. This is why it is wise, if you have a longer video, to put timestamps down in the description where people can go through and click through different timestamps to go to different sections of your video based upon the content within it. If you have a thing of steps laid out or something, and you want let's say it's a 25-30 minute video, and if you want to see this part, go to this timestamp where they can just click it. You can go to the next timestamp where they can click it. Every time they click that, it's a new view. Now, granted, it's taken away from view watch time if they watch the entire thing, but it's quite the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's better than them clicking away.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
But I do think you lose. I've always thought that you lose those seconds of watch time. And I think also if they play your video a little bit faster, I think that affects your watch time too. But they're watching, so.
Samson Farm is saying, I do an intro of me and then do a 10-second intro. Not sure if that's good or bad. And so I don't think, I'm going to say whatever works for you and your viewers is what you want. And the only way you're going to find that out is to experiment.
Yeah, and to look at your analytics.
That or get a albino snake and put it on your head.
Hey, you know what?
If it works.
I'm going to get some emus, okay? That's where I'm at right now. I live in a subdivision, but I just, whatever. I'm getting emus.
Can I do something with toads? We got toads out on the front yard now. So anyway, no, go ahead.
So let's say you know who your character is. You're thinking about how you want to develop that character, and one way to do that is to ask yourself, well, what is my character going to be doing? And there is a very popular school of thought that says that there are only a few different plots or storylines. In fact, some people say there are 4. Some people say there are 7 storylines. I'm going to go with 7. And those are the only plots that there really are. Everything is kind of a variation on these plots. So there's a book. It's by a guy named Christopher Booker. It's called The 7 Basic Plots, and I'm talking a little bit from his book, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned his book. I am not sponsored by this man. I wish I was. So the first storyline would be overcoming the monster. So, and one example of that would be like War of the Worlds, maybe Moby Dick, although I don't think he overcomes the monster at the end. I don't remember. 1984, the monster would be like the government or. So, but you could also say that the monster, like let's say you have a farm, the monster could be the weather or your environment. One channel, when I was thinking about this, and they might not agree with me at all, but I was thinking about Green Dream Project, who I absolutely adore. And I was thinking, kind of a major character in their story is the desert, because they're out there in the middle of nowhere, and everything that they do to, maintain their lives off grid is kind of about outsmarting or defeating this monster. And they may not think of it as a monster. It's the desert. It's beautiful, but it's this thing that must be overcome in order for them to, meet their goal or triumph in the end.
Okay, let me jump in here just a second. Mama Z's, yeah. Texas, thank you so much for your super chat there. We appreciate it. We also had a party jump into the chat here that's an excellent storyteller, and that would be Morgan Gold, Goldshaw Farm. So, Morgan, I've also opened up the phone lines.
So, fun.
So, Morgan, if I'd certainly love for you to call in and discuss a little bit about some of the style that you've developed with your storytelling and so forth, because we're learning quite a bit here this evening, and it's been a very interesting discussion. So, all right, and with that, I'll kind of back out of here again. I know you can't see the chat, so you have no idea what's going on. I'm just trying to fill in here a little.
Okay, that's great. Always welcome. Oh, and I just want to mention my dear friend from Making It Work with Linda. She also, very recently had some big changes happen on her homestead. And you could also say that that's also the beginning of this story of overcoming this big obstacle, which you could also call the monster.
Yep, she's here.
Hi! I love you. She's my favorite. And a really, really popular plot line in homesteading videos is the rags to riches story. And it's kind of like an opposite kind of thing, but it's still the same. It's still got the same essence to it. How many of us have watched the channel or the channels that are like, I used to live in the big city and I had a corporate job working 9 to 5. And now I live out in the country and I'm, realizing my dreams. I'm finding happiness again. And that is somewhat of a you could think of a rags to riches story. It's funny because they were probably richer when they when they worked in whatever big corporate job that they had, but at the end they became you know, more wealthy because in a different sense their lives became more fulfilled.
You're starting a war here, Dahlia. I just want to let you know.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. One.
War of the Worlds?
Yeah. One, Linda says, I love you, my bestie. Mandy, Royal Amethyst, says, hello, Dahlia, in capital letters. And Amber is saying, do you not love me?
I'm reevaluating your status after the Billy Bob reveal. I love you, Amber, and I love you, Mandy. So yeah, Cinderella is a very common rags to riches story, but in the homesteading world, it's a little bit different. I know Becky's Homestead is one that comes to mind. She's got a big chicken channel, and she moved from corporate. She had some kind of corporate job, and then she moved to her own homestead, and she's, working her homestead and doing her thing. And that's a huge draw for a lot of people because, and even for people that are still working their jobs that they are not necessarily feeling good about. And so they can watch your video and think about what is possible for them.
Okay.
And that's also a way to make you more relatable.
Okay. Brenda has stated here, Brenda Duncan, my problem is I've always lived this lifestyle, and I'm afraid it will bore people.
Well, I think it just has to do with how you tell the story, and thinking about, well, what kind of story am I telling? Because everybody has a story. Everyone.
Well, Blake has a saying, and I'm trying. I'll screw this up. I don't remember exactly the words, but it amounts to everybody has a story, and everybody's story is important.
Yeah. So, it is. And even if you think no one's listening, I'm just saying stuff, nobody cares, there's usually somebody out there that is relating and possibly being inspired by your story.
Okay. And Joe's making a little comment here that says St. Bernard Acres is saying that I think people are starting to confuse making a movie or making a video on YouTube. And to that, let me address that just for a moment. To me, a movie is at least an hour in length. I mean, it's a long thing. So I guess you could call our live shows movies. I don't know, but I disagree with that, Joe, from the standpoint that these are just minute clips out of our individual lives that we choose to share with other folks on the platform. And there she's back.
Sorry about that. I was freezing up.
So, yeah, I don't know that I can compare those two, Joe, but that's the way that I see it here anyway. Watching and saying, iron your shirt, straighten out this shirt. Let's see. No, go ahead. I was just trying to catch through some of the chat here. So go ahead.
I hope you can't hear. I've got the window open because I was starting to get sweaty, and I hope you can't hear all the cars going by because I don't live in the country. All right. So the next story or plot line of a story would be the quest. And that would be that the protagonist or the main character sets out to get an important object. And one of the most famous recent stories in that arena would be Lord of the Rings. And Saving Private Ryan is another one. But in homesteading terms, I was thinking about the Citystead, my friend over at the Citystead. He recently is starting to think about starting a garlic business. So he has this object that he's introduced to his audience. And he's saying, you know, this is what I want to do. So it's a quest. And that's how you could relate it to a homesteading channel. And it that's only part of his channel. It's like a mini story, and kind of how, you know, when we have YouTube channels, the stories keep going on and on. So they can have these components in it. It doesn't have to be, you know, oh, I've got to stick to this one thing. Your story, it's endless. The opportunities are endless.
What was the book again is being asked?
Christopher Booker. It's called The 7 Basic Plots. But honestly, if you just go on to Google and you write in the 7 basic plots, or some people would say it would be the 4 plots, you will get so much information that will come up. But I mean, I'm not discouraging you from reading the book, but I think it's more geared toward, well, I mean, that's what we're doing. We're telling stories. But it'd probably be more geared toward creative writing. I have not actually read this book, but I've taken classes that have talked about this. So that's where I got my information. There is another plot line called Voyage and Return. And that would be where the main character goes out into a strange land, changes in some way, you know, through overcoming whatever obstacles come at them, and then returns home a changed person. Alice in Wonderland is a very famous example of this.
Okay, Joe at St. Bernard Acres has made a comment here.
Yes.
The successful homesteading channels key on the fact that their audience is living vicariously through them, which is an interesting statement. But I can also see how some people could see that. Now, because Joe threw that out there, I guess I'm going to throw out something from the other direction and say, what do you embrace as a successful channel? Is it number of subscribers? Is it the length of your videos? Is it the type of content you produce? What is successful to you? What is successful to me may be totally different. So, just more food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's absolutely right, because I watch White House on the Hill. I really like that channel, and I really want emus. And I can't have them if I want to continue to live where I am. I was going to say the Voyage and Return story would be any channel where the characters go out on the road. The main character goes out on the road. There was one channel, I cannot remember the name, but they, you know, built this really nice RV and they fixed it up inside, and then the whole, you know, there's the whole thing about them working on this RV and fixing it up, and then they're on this voyage. And that's a great story, because you get to see what all their adventures are. And then there's the comedy and the tragedy. I hope we're not doing tragedy, but comedy would be something really cheerful and funny with happy endings most of the time. So any romantic comedy, like a romantic comedy, that would be considered obviously a comedy. And if you had a channel that was really light and fun and always told a happy story that, you know, I mean, it could have ups and downs, because comedies also have conflict. But in the end, it's it's a really joyful, happy ending. And that would be in that category. So I think just thinking about, well, okay, where does my channel fall in that? And or maybe you have this story, but you're not really telling it. Because you might say, oh my gosh, well, I mean, I am traveling in an RV, but I'm only talking about the herbs that I'm growing and I'm not really telling the story. And so you might want to say, okay, well, maybe I'll bring some of that in. Just make sure that there's always an exchange for your view between you and your viewers. So you want to give them something to make them watch your video and then keep them on your channel with your story.
Okay, and we've got somebody on the phone here.
Yay!
Hello, this is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
Well, this is Bub. I was the president. Well, I wasn't the president. I was the candidate for president.
I told them not to let that call through. That was a great story. That was a good story. I don't know if people might not know what we're talking about, but this is Bub from, oh my gosh, I'm having total brain fart again. Getting Started on Homesteading. And he surprised me with a video where he decided he was going to run against me as the president of Chickenlandia. And if you haven't watched my channel, Chickenlandia is this place that I have created. It's there's a little bit of a fictional aspect to it, but Chickenlandia is also my chicken yard. And I am the president of Chickenlandia. So on my channel, I always introduce myself, hello, welcome to Chickenlandia. I'm the president of Chickenlandia. Okay. And then I proceed with the video. I guess Bub was...
Just so you know, Bub did drop off, so I don't know if he
did?
Yeah, so...
Bummer.
So you're gonna...
It must have been my Secret Service people. They cut him off.
Okay.
So anyway, Bub decided he was going to run against me as the president of Chickenlandia. And then I had a few other channels. We had a few other channels that played along, and it was really fun. And it was a cute little story that we told. And some people subscribed just from watching that. And I ended up putting out a campaign ad and was able to hold on to the presidency. Very fun. Do we have any questions or anything?
Right now, I think we're sitting pretty good. I will remind everybody that the phone lines are open, and we don't have to wait on callers. I can take more than one at a time here. So, numbers scrolling across top of the screen. There's two different numbers there. Use either one. You have to enter the meeting ID number, which is also up there at 752-778-572. That does change for every show, so you can't
memorize it.
You can't memorize it. The actual numbers are the same, but the meeting numbers are different on every show. So.
Yeah, I agree. I wrote Marilyn. Even if nobody listens, you should tell it for future use. I mean, we started our channel mainly for our grandchildren.
Yes.
So there's something in the future, knock on wood, providing YouTube's still around, that they can go back on and go, oh, okay, that's how they did it. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Or that's my Nana and Papa and whatever.
Well, we kind of lost a generation, and the grandkids have shown an interest in doing things like canning and the cooking and stuff like that. So where else are they going to get it?
Mm-hmm. That's true. The Naked Gardener is asking you, how many chickens do you have, Madam President?
Hi, Sydney. Thank you. Or I'm assuming it's Sydney. I don't know. It might be Mrs. Naked Gardener.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your question. I have actually lost a very old chicken day before yesterday. She was 9 years old. But so now I have 17 chickens and 4 ducks. And most of my chickens, if you watch my channel, you know I live in a division. So 17 sounds like a lot of chickens, but most of them are like really itty bitty tiny chickens. And they lay one. They're all old. They lay 1 egg a month, and then they go broody, and they eat all that good stuff.
Mandy is asking you, my older girls are still keeping my younger girls from eating. How do I address this?
The first thing I would do is try to put food and water in several different locations.
Oh, they're talking chickens. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm used to it. It always goes back to chickens.
He took his headset off. He's totally like, where'd this conversation go to?
We can talk about it, but I would make sure that there is food and water in a few different locations. And then what you might need to do is start the integration process over again if it's severe. But if they're not drawing blood and they're not really keeping each other from eating and drinking, then it's just like that unfortunate part of the pecking order. And it's really hard to watch, but it's not, chickens they don't feel the same about it as we do, because we have empathy for them. We're like, oh, what would it be like if I couldn't eat? I couldn't get to the food, or if I was getting picked on all the time. But as chickens, that is a big part of their instinct. So if they're not drawing blood, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But if they are really not letting the younger ones get to food and water, then that's certainly a problem.
Okay, and we have another caller.
VW Farms, I'm assuming it's Ben. He said, how about 180 chickens?
Yeah, 180.
Oh, that's some advanced chicken math.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
Hey, Daryl, it's Morgan.
Morgan, how you doing?
Hi, Morgan.
I'm doing good. Hey, Dahlia, how you doing?
I'm good. I hope you're doing
you guys
well.
are talking stories tonight, huh?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
And Morgan,
always.
Morgan, I want to tell you before anybody else does, I really liked your last video. You told a good story.
Oh, thanks. The one about the guns, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah, no, it's always fun to try to tackle a topic like that and not get demonetized in the process.
Morgan, I have another caller on the line. You want me to let him in the room or keep him aside here?
Yeah, sure. More the merrier.
Okay, hang on here. This is Daryl. Who's calling, please? Oh, they dropped off.
Uh-oh.
Still there, Morgan?
I'm here. Okay.
So, yeah, Morgan, we kind of went in a different direction here tonight. Our chicken president. Is that the best way to put it? Chicken president? President of chickens?
Works
President
for me.
Chickenlandia, yeah.
Madam President.
Madam President.
Madam President. Oh, another caller. Hold on. This is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
It's nobody important.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
It's Nathan.
Nathan. Okay. All right.
Hi, Nathan.
So we have Nathan and we have Morgan on.
Bobblehead is on here. And
Hi.
and he's asking, how do you get a chicken drunk?
You give it alcohol.
Wait,
And,
I feel like there's gotta be a
disclaimer,
better
don't do
punchline to
that.
one than...
Where to begin Homestead? New to YouTube, how long should video stories be kept to keep it engaging?
I think it depends on how you're telling your story, but for me, and I think 10 minutes is kind of, less than 15 minutes, I would say. I don't know what Morgan would think about that, but especially when you're starting out, you don't want to, I feel like you don't want to make them too long, because there's still a lot to learn at that point, and it's tough to keep people engaged for that long.
And what I would just say is I think generally speaking, take the time it takes to tell your story, but do it as quickly as you possibly can. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to tell your story as fast as possible, but you're taking whatever time that could take, that means you can be 5 minutes, that means you could be 25 minutes, and I think either one's a good answer. But I think the trick is to just make sure you keep the video engaging. And I think you're probably going to ask, well, like what's keeping it engaging? And I think what ultimately comes down to is look at your audience retention. If you find that people are seriously dropping off at certain points and in certain areas, then you might want to think about shortening and tightening up your story for next time. If you're finding people are sticking with it, just keep doing it.
Yeah. And I definitely think editing is a big plus. I think when people start out, many YouTubers don't start out doing a lot of editing, but I think moving the story forward with some properly placed editing would be a good idea.
Random Mini Farm and Forge, and this is for any of you. When you have husband and wife channel but post separately, 2 different subjects, should you combine and work together in same video?
I think it's just whatever works for your channel. Like if you look at Green Dream Project, they have some videos that are just the husband, and then some videos that are just the wife, and some videos that are both of them, and it works. You know, they're really telling the same story ultimately, and they both have individual stories that they're telling. But I think it really depends. I don't think there's any hard and fast rule about that.
I watch Random Mini Farm and Forge, and the way they do it, it works well in my opinion. I enjoy it, the content.
Yeah, and I think just to add on, I think it sort of depends. I mean, if like Nathan's saying, if it's working for you and your videos, great. For me personally, what I usually try to do is focus on, each video having its own story. So, my channel overall has a story, but then each video I'm sharing has its own story too. And so I try not to jam too much stuff into that video so that it's sort of like I've got, kind of 3 or 4 different stories going on at once, but try to keep it focused on that one story. And so you can thematically tie the 2 pieces together, great. If not, I would push to try to keep them into separate videos so that each video has its own value proposition and kind of reason for somebody to want to watch it without feeling like it's just sort of a grab bag and mishmash of stuff.
Okay, and Rustic Traditions Homestead is asking, how do you find the audience retention stats? Those are in, well, it used to be called YouTube Studio Beta, but I think it's just YouTube Studio now. I think they've dropped the beta. And you can go to an individual video, and I'm trying to remember what tab.
I can do it, Daryl. Let me field this Tech Tuesday question. I'm dying for it. This is a good one.
All right.
All right. So if you guys have your YouTube Studio open in your window right now, what you're going to want to do is to look on the left-hand side, and you'll see the tab that says Video. And what you'll do is you click on that tab of videos, and then what you'll see is all the thumbnails for all of your published videos, as well as videos that are waiting to be published, show up. If you have a lot of them, it might show up on multiple pages, but you'll see those videos there. Click on one of those videos, and for this to work, by the way, the video has to be at least 3 days old. And when you click on that video, you're going to see another tab on the left-hand side. It's going to say, the second one down is going to be Analytics. Click on that Analytics tab, and then from there, you're going to want to click on the Engagement tab. So Analytics is on the left-hand side. Engagement is going across the top, where you're going to see overview, reach, and then engagement. Click on engagement. And then eventually, as you look down below that graph, you'll see the audience retention number. And like I said, if the video is more than 3 days old, what you're going to be able to do is click on it, and it's going to bring up a little graph. That graph will show you who's watching your video and how long they're watching it for. And so it's kind of cool, right? Because you can actually see which part drops off, where are people getting bored, like what's happening. And it's just a tremendous tool to figure out what's working and what's not working for your videos. Like, for example, for me, I once used an intro on my videos that I used to use regularly for every single video. It was like 6 seconds long, but I noticed that I would lose about 40% of my audience after that intro played. And so I cut that out, and then I saw my audience retention shoot right up. And so using your audience retention graph to see what's working and what's not working for your video is just, it's a completely game-changing way to use the metrics and help make your content better. Good Tech Tuesday question.
Absolutely.
Good advice. I need to do that.
Me too.
Okay. And let me, Morgan, if you want to maybe go through that again.
Sure, because I went fast.
All right. I have it up on the screen so people can follow along. I just grabbed a random video of ours that was actually making peanut brittle. And so I have picked out that video, and I've now gone to analytics. So where is my next step, sir?
Okay, so you're on the analytics thing, and actually you can see it right from the main dashboard, right? Mm-hmm. So you see, first off, that graph that shows your views, and then if you scroll down just a little bit,
and there's your
scroll down just a little bit, and you'll see the audience retention graph right down there.
Yep, right here.
And
it
then
is.
you click on and then what you're going to want to do is click on the part that says "See More." So it's at right below the graph. You'll see it on the left-hand side, where it says "See More."
Yeah, I did that.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, there's a little lag with the stream, and that will bring up the graph itself.
Okay, and that's what it also brings up the video, but so you can
well, and what you can do is you can scan along on the graph, right, and it'll show you the point in the video where you've had people drop off.
Yep. So in this particular case, after 4 minutes, they're pretty well gone.
Yeah. So for this video, right, in terms of how to read this chart, you typically in the first 10 to 15 seconds are going to lose 20% of your audience. That's just something like I found even on some of my best videos will just happen. But what's happening is you're losing a lot of people really after that 4-minute mark, which would suggest to me that with the video specifically, you haven't necessarily hooked them into, here's the story of this video, here's why you'd want to keep watching, here's like what's going to happen to make it interesting. And particularly, as you kind of flatline out, you see, you're down to, out of 100 people who watch this video, only about, say, 3 or 4 of them getting all the way to the end. And so the opportunity there is to try to find ways to keep engaging people and keep the content moving and keep the story sucking people in, because, YouTube will be your best friend when it comes to promoting that video, but only when you've gotten to a point where you've got your retention stats up. Typically what I've found is that YouTube will heavily promote your videos if you can have the retention number when you're at the very, very end of the video be up over 50%. So if you go all the way to the 17-minute and 30-second mark there and see what that is, that's where you'd want to be seeing like a 50% or greater number. And then that's going to be the type of video that YouTube will promote heavily with the algorithm and recommend and suggest to people. And that's how you really grow subscribers, viewers, all the good stuff.
But also, it has to do with the length of the movie. I mean, a video, if you had a 20-second video that you had 50% clear out there, that doesn't really mean much.
That is absolutely true. Yeah, you're 100% right, Daryl. So it's a multi-factor thing. So the biggest impact metrics that I've found have been audience retention, watch time, which is, to your point, it's not just about getting 50% viewership after a 30-second video, but like if you can get a 10-minute video at 60%, you're going to be generating at least 5 minutes of watch time, which YouTube's more likely to promote. And then the other factor, which I know you guys talked a lot about on Tech Tuesday, is your thumbnail and title and what sort of click-through rate that's generating. Those 4 factors working together drive the likelihood of suggestion coming from YouTube.
Now, I don't know how this video stacks up against, a lot of other people that are in the chat here. I have absolutely no idea. But this is typical of a lot of our videos. And looking at the first 4, 5, 6 minutes here, there's no sudden drop. It's just a gradual dropping off.
Yep. No, which would suggest, like I said, there's not something that's like, like just making people turn the video off.
Yeah,
like,
there's not a deal breaker.
There's not a deal breaker, but there's the other side of it. There's not an enticer that's keeping people hooked in, and so trying to find those things that can keep people going, trying to create suspense for people wanting to know what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. That's the real trick.
Right.
So what was the topic of this video? This was easy peanut butter brittle, right?
Yeah.
So people probably, typically for a recipe video, your story is, I'm going to show you how to create this thing that's really cool and isn't going to look good. Let me show you how I'm doing it from using these disparate parts from the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way to create more suspense in terms of showing them the ingredients and how you're going to turn all this stuff into this peanut brittle? Or is there a way to create a story around the peanut brittle that's going to make people want to see if it turns out good or bad because you're not sure if the recipe is going to work? Like there's different things that you could do to try to ratchet up the tension, but I think trying to play with some of that stuff in future videos would be the way that I would try to raise up my retention in this situation.
I mean, this video's been up for over 330 days, so almost a year. And it's got a total of 1,600 views or something, 100 hours of watch time. This video has gained us 4 subscribers, and it's made us all at $2.45.
Stacks on stacks.
Peanut brittle with that.
Ben is asking, what is the average percentage viewed?
Average percentage viewed.
Yeah, so and this is actually something that sometimes confuses people. So the average percentage viewed number is cumulatively, you look at that video, how much of that video is getting viewed by all of your viewers. So like you might see a number of like, 25%, 55%, it can range. The number I'm pointing to on the audience retention piece is connected to that average duration viewed, but it's actually slightly different because what it's really telling you is what percentage of your audience is making it all the way to the end.
Well,
if that makes sense.
And the other thing that I find interesting, which is also typical of a lot of videos on our channel, is people that are not subscribed, we have a much higher percentage than people that are. I mean, 74% of the watchers of this were not subscribed to our channel.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was fascinating.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I just find that's fascinating.
Yeah. I think it's neat when people, they're searching for something and they find your channel and you've got a lot coming from Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben over at VW Family Farm, or maybe it's Andrea, I don't know. 75 is great. Yeah, like if you're clocking at a 75, you should feel really good about that video.
Absolutely. So anyway, I just wanted to show that on the screen as you were talking people through it.
Yep. No, I mean, if anybody's ever trying to say, hey, how can I make my channel better, or what can I work on? To like take an hour or so and just really get lost in your audience retention graphs and look at your videos and see if there's any patterns going from video to video to see like what you could do differently. That's definitely an area that's worth spending the time on and trying to refine your video. Keep doing it. I keep doing it with my videos even now where, for example, one of the things I found is people will often click because they like the thumbnail, but then I wait 2 minutes before I really get into my story. And so I have drop off. And so lately I've been actually making a concerted effort to like have the payoff for the thumbnail within the first 30 to 45 seconds of the video as a way to see if I can continue to boost my retention rates.
We have some questions here for any of you. What is Reddit and how do you use it?
Oh gosh, #old. I don't understand Reddit. I cannot figure it out.
Morgan, you want to chime in on that?
Sure. I mean, Reddit is, I guess call it a network of just a whole bunch of different communities about people who are interested in different things. And so within Reddit, there are these things called subreddits, which are groups on topics. So for example, there's a homestead subreddit. And within that, you'll just find all sorts of people posting links and videos and stories and photos about their homesteads. And so it's a great place to sometimes share links. Sometimes people in Reddit will despise you and downvote your posts within Reddit if they don't find it's adding value. So it's very democratic because people are essentially voting on every single post and saying, thumbs up, yeah, this is a good post, or thumbs down, this is a bad post. And when they do that, that dictates whether or not your post is going to get promoted more with Reddit. And so it's an interesting place to go look, and it's also an interesting place sometimes to share links.
Would you say that Reddit is the same as like other social networks where it's like you need to go in and engage and create relationships and then start promoting your channel rather than just like going in right out of the gate and starting to post your links?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, and the other thing about Reddit is your viewers can get you engaged on Reddit. You don't have to do it yourself. In other words,
I need to try. I need to go back and try to figure it out. I just feel like, I spend so much time already on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. It's like, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to add another one of those.
Teresa's
well, but I'll tell you, what I found is sharing links and being part of communities and doing all that stuff is okay. And when you're starting out, it's fine to way to build up your kind of first couple hundred subscribers. But at the end of the day, if you want to really grow your channel and really build out an audience, doing it from within YouTube is significantly more effective and powerful. And so you're going to get much quicker growth by going through YouTube and focusing on getting YouTube to recommend your videos. And by doing that, it's affecting all the things that I've been talking about in terms of audience retention, watch time, click-through rates. Like, the more you can impact those things, the more YouTube's going to suggest you, and the more you're going to build up your audience organically.
Yeah.
Stringfield Ridge Farm is asking, do you put videos on Reddit or just posts? As far as I know, it's just posts, but there could be links back to videos. I do not have a Reddit account. I don't go play in that barnyard.
Yeah. Some of the biggest posts I've ever had on Reddit have been non-YouTube posts. So whether I'm posting a video directly to Reddit or I'm doing like a write-up about taking care of ducks in the winter or something, those have been the biggest Reddit posts I've found and sort of the most success for sure.
Is Reddit like Steemit?
Not really.
No, there's no money there. Not even pretend money.
Bitcoin?
I was thinking about coming up with like a Chickenlandia currency.
I love it.
I'm rich.
I mean, for anybody who's really curious about something like Reddit, I think it's definitely worth taking half an hour to just go on, set up an account, and see what it looks like. I mean, you'll see it's just a community like anywhere else, and I think it's actually a good place to learn and find an interesting kind of ideas and people. So there's definitely value just in experimenting with it, as there is with a lot of different social channels.
Well, and then of course there's Discord servers of all flavors and varieties, and
I went on Discord too. I'm on Discord, but I honestly, like, I think there's just some kind of block in my brain where I just could not figure it out.
Well,
it just went so fast.
I was on Steemit. I think it was last year I opened up one and was doing pretty good writing. And then when my hard drive went, I lost my Steemit password, and they won't give it to you. You have to keep it. If your hard drive fails, you don't have anywhere. It's gone.
That's too bad.
Yeah, they won't send it to you.
Well, that's part of the security thing where if you use a password that's so difficult you can't remember it, you're supposed to write it down somewhere.
Yeah, and then you got to remember where you write it down. Give me a break, Daryl.
I'm just saying it's to the point of being ridiculous with a lot of things.
I bought Sean a graduation card, and I didn't find it till a year and a half later.
I will say that I have, I've been active. Chickenlandia it started out on Facebook, as an online presence, and that's been around for, gosh, I don't know.
Okay, Big Dreams Homestead has made a comment here. Says Discord is awesome. I invite you to call in. Grab your phone there, call in, and share with everybody here a little bit about why you feel Discord is awesome and how you use it to enhance your channel or enhance your capabilities in doing YouTube stuff. So.
Oh, wait a minute! You have to read Norse Plays. Discord is like a crappy part of town I don't want to leave my car. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I feel like Discord is where I parked my car, and then I came out of the store and I don't remember where I parked. And I just have to keep walking until I find it. So that's what Discord feels like to me.
Oh, that was good.
On Jerome Bee Farm, they do not have a recover password.
Not Steemit. And it tells you when you sign up for it.
That's harsh.
Yeah, and I had it in a Word document. I had the title, Steemit password. Unfortunately, when your hard drive crashes, that goes away.
Yeah, that hadn't been.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you have social media, if you have a group for your channel, or if you have Twitter or Instagram, then one thing I've tried to do from the beginning is also have things of value on those platforms apart from my YouTube channel, so that it's all just part of the brand. So, I have my YouTube channel, but I'm also putting content out every day on my Facebook page, on my Instagram, and I try to get Twitter. Twitter is getting up there a little bit.
Well,
but I think sometimes people have their group or their page, but it's important to also add value to that, to your brand through those.
Okay, Qualberg uses hen's teeth as currency, so we are...
Quailberg. Nathan has quail.
I know who said that.
Exactly. I didn't even have to say who it was. She knew who it was.
Connected branding.
Chickens rule, quail drool.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, what an evening.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, guys, I got to actually get back to editing.
All right.
But
Morgan,
Thank you, Morgan.
Morgan, thank you
It was great
for
talking to you, meeting you.
for jumping in for a few minutes here, and we'll do this again.
Always.
And I see that
And
Brenda's
have a happy
saying,
Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you guys.
okay.
You too, Morgan.
Thanks, Morgan. You take care now.
All right, thanks. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Big Dreams, Daryl, Big Dream Homestead was trying to call in, but asked for a meeting code.
Well, yeah, that's across the top here. The meeting code is 752-778-572. I'm sorry, it's not up there.
No, it's not up there, dear.
There it is.
Brenda, does that seem like, a movie from 50 years ago when the house lifted off and it twisted and, somebody with red shoes and all that? Just asking.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly. She said she may have to get off. Her house is shaking. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, we'll give them a couple minutes or see if they can.
Carrie, that's
they
not a
can
bad
get in.
idea because all my email was, once we got it back up, my emails was still there. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, Norris Plays, we have Twitter and Instagram. Daryl hates Facebook, so he's surely not going to do Instagram and Twitter. So I'm the one who posts everything over there.
I find Instagram to be more pleasant than Facebook.
Well,
It's not.
Instagram, you can't put links. I mean, you can put links.
Oh yeah, you have to
Yeah,
do the whole, and you have to do the whole link in bio thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
So
you can, but they're not
Instagram is
linkable.
like. I heard one person explain it. I can't remember where I heard this, but like, Facebook is like. I can't remember what Facebook is, but but Instagram is like the heart. Like it pulls on your heartstrings. It's like a sentimental place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it doesn't monopolize so much on people arguing with each other and controversy, and
Right.
so it's just a more pleasant place to be.
Plus
But it's a really good place if you take good pictures. You can
Yeah.
post a picture every day on your Instagram account, and if they're good pictures, people love that.
Yeah. Well, that's how Roots and Refuge, that's how Jess got started, because she started with Instagram. And when they started their YouTube channel, they all of her fans from Instagram came over to YouTube.
Yeah.
But I also, Heritage Ways, Katie, she does, I think daily, she does a IGTV, Instagram TV.
Oh,
She does
yeah. Mhm.
videos over there. So I think
Yeah,
that's
and
pretty cool.
I also make video content for Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So I do my main videos every week, and then I do little videos and not as highly edited videos for Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
So if you do video, you just upload it, like YouTube, when you upload it to YouTube, you upload them to Instagram? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, a lot of times it's just on my phone.
Okay.
So, and it's a short video.
Yeah.
So I just, upload it like I would a photo.
Okay.
Short,
But then
short
every
stories.
once in a while, I
Short
will
stories.
put a full-length video on Facebook.
Okay,
Oh,
we
there
have
you go.
we have another caller here.
Yeah.
Hold on. This is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
This is Anne Marie from Big Dreams.
Hey, Big Dreams.
Hi,
Hello.
thank you for calling.
Hello. So
Hello.
Discord, you guys asked about Discord, and for me, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Skype and the group calls that we used to do on Skype. So for Discord, it just takes less resources on your computer than Skype does. It takes less bandwidth. But it's a great place. I mean, I have a lot of friends in my Discord group for Big Dreams, and they can go in there and they can either leave a text message or we can do voice conference calls together and just hang out and have a lot of fun. So I find it useful in that respect. You
You know what was hard for me, and maybe it was just because I couldn't figure out how to use it, but I would write a message in it, and then I would walk away, and the conversation would keep going, and it would go so far that I just had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, the good thing is they can have this whole group conversation, kind of like Marco Polo, how you guys do individual ones, and I'm not now learning Marco Polo, but instead of
I'm going to suck another one in.
Conversing with one person, you can have a whole group in there, that's on your server, so you can come back hours later and see what everybody else wrote for the last 2 hours, or you could just skip it too.
Cool.
Yeah.
No.
I really like it for group chat because it's really easy and it doesn't take all the resources or the bandwidth.
The bandwidth,
because I'm out here in the middle of nowhere with horrible bandwidth. So,
Dahlia, Lisa Lee is saying, I followed you forever on Instagram before she even knew you had YouTube.
Oh, yay! Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I missed all you guys' chat on Instagram because I was playing with the phone here, but I need to learn Instagram. Like, I get so lost in there, I don't even know how to go in and post anything because I can't find the little link on my computer to post it. So,
Instagram, I think Instagram is only like an app. Like, I don't think you can really do much from your computer on Instagram. Unless I'm way wrong. I couldn't figure out how to do it. I just use it on my phone.
There's a desktop version. I just downloaded it last week.
I have the desktop
I tried to do that, but I
figure
couldn't get
it
to
out,
my.
so maybe that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get to my page. I could only get to my personal Instagram account, and I have a personal account, and I have a Welcome to Chickenlandia account, and I couldn't get to that from the desktop version. So maybe I just need to mess with it a little bit more.
It might have something to do with how your browser is signed in.
I'll have to check.
Yeah. I'll have to figure mine out too.
If you can figure out Discord, you can figure out Instagram.
Yeah, probably. Discord took me a bit too, but thankfully I had friends that taught me how to, walk me through it. So now I have my own server. The thing with Discord is that you have to be in a server or have friends, or, you can't just jump into Discord and go searching through people's stuff. You have to be invited to that server first in order to participate, which is nice in a way because as a server, as a person who has a group on there, I decide who can be in the group and who can't. So it's
and if you're
kind of that way.
If you're really ambitious, you can run your own server out of your house.
Anybody can start a Discord group.
Yeah.
Like any member of Discord can start their own Discord group. So, and it doesn't cost anything. So it's kind of like I would put it more similar to Facebook groups as far as the chat goes. So you can go back and watch the conversation or just post something new. It doesn't matter. And then your server has different rooms, so you can have one for chickens and one for gardening and
of course.
Stuff like that.
Gotta have one for chickens.
So, I'm gonna hang up now, but just thought I'd come in and.
Well, thank you for calling.
I love the story of your channel. You have a good story.
Oh. I feel like I have 10 stories. I need to narrow it down to one
That's
or two.
okay. You've got one main story going, and then a bunch of subplots.
Yeah, it's the subplots that are killing me. I can't keep up with them all. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.
Well, thank you for calling.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Bye.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Naked Gardener is asking, Madam President, did the first man help you with your videos or content?
He very rarely. For those of you that don't know, the first man of Chickenlandia, he is an aerial cinematographer. So he does the cinematography from the helicopter. And has been very gracious from the beginning, really understanding that this is my creation. And, you know, I know that if he were to step in and start doing all my camera work, that it would look great and, you know, maybe I would have more subscribers, but then the process wouldn't be the same for me. And I really wanted to do it on my own because when I was much younger, I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to do this. So he's very much like, you do your thing. And he doesn't, even when I like at the beginning when the camera was like shaky and it was, you know, at the wrong, I had it in portrait mode and or whatever you call it, where it's up like this, like that. And he didn't say anything. And he's just been really, really gracious about it. But I did a couple of videos where I did like a total coupe makeover, and he did some drone work in that video, and it's really good. And he was like, oh, because he was just playing around with the drone, and then I was like, hey, I want to use that for the video. And it was good, and he was like, oh, you know, if I had known, I would have made it better, but it was great. And so he helps me in that he is really super supportive of Chickenlandia and whatever I want to do with it. So there's that.
Okay. Well, is there anybody else that's got any other questions for this evening?
Yeah, Anne Marie, I think all of us started in portrait mode.
Yes.
I mean, that's why when I approve a lot of the people coming into the small YouTube homesteaders on Facebook, and I look at their channels, because I make sure they have 1,500 subscribers or less, and they are gardeners or homesteaders, and you can tell because they're all, you know, they're portrait. And I'll make a comment, hi, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And I'll message them, or I'll put it on their posts, you know, just a hint. I says, you know, we started the same way. You know, you need to put your camera sideways for it to fill up the whole screen. You know, we all did it.
Yeah, I remember Bobblehead saying that a really long time ago, because he would do these shout outs at the end of his videos, which is how I got a lot of my subscribers at the very beginning, because he gave me a shout out really early on. And he was so sweet because he would be like, oh, and here's this channel, and, you know, people really like, in a really gentle way, like, people really like it when you kind of like, you know, just put your phone sideways and film like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
because you don't want people to think you're telling them what to do, or, you know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And just, you know, just thinking about someone who has a great story that he is telling.
Yeah.
That's Bobblehead.
Yeah. And
He's got a great story.
Newbies to YouTube do not have thick skin yet.
Yeah, you know? I mean, I'm never going to have, you know, I always find it interesting when people are like, well, you need to change and you need to get a thick skin. And it's like, you know, it's okay to be a sensitive person, you know, and some of us, we're just not going to get there, and that's okay. But the thing is, you need to keep going. Yeah. Like, don't let it stop you. It's okay to be upset or to get hurt, but don't let it stop you, because nobody knows how well you can do but you.
That's right. Sydney is asking, what is the plan for the president in the next 5 to 8 years?
I can't tell you that. That's top secret.
It's in the story, and you haven't gotten to that chapter yet.
You know, you never know. I have a lot of things up my sleeve. Some of them have to do with my YouTube channel. Some of them don't. I'm an educator. I'm a backyard chicken educator here in Bellingham, so I do a lot of work here, and I have, you know, some things that I want to do in that arena. You'll just have to stay tuned.
And there is another question in here. What do you suggest to do for Bumblefoot?
You know, A lot of people would say you need to do the bumblefoot surgery. I have to be really careful because, Chickenlandia is also my business. So I as someone who isn't a veterinarian, I can't really recommend that. I think, you should do some research on that and decide if you can do that. But what I will say is I've seen a lot of people that have had success doing nightly Epsom salt soaks in warm water and using a product called Prid, and it's a drawing salve. And it's actually homeopathic, and on my channel I talk a lot about homeopathics and natural remedies for chickens. So I do like homeopathics, and what it does is it kind of draws the infection out. And I know that recently, I need to remember, Rock and Sea Homestead, they did it. They used the Prid, and it worked great. And they had a recurring case of bumblefoot come up with this particular chicken. Her name is Bok Bok. See? I remembered the story.
Okay.
So they had this case of bumblefoot come up, and they used this product, and it finally seemed like it resolved completely. So I think if it were me, that's what I would do first.
Okay, and so now we need a bumblefoot explanation.
Bumblefoot is basically a staph infection in a bird's foot. Chickens can get it. Ducks get it pretty easily. It's really uncomfortable because it's a lot of a collection of pus and infection in their foot, and you can tell that it's bumblefoot because there will be a big bump, and then there'll be a black dot in the middle. And that's the beginning of what's called the kernel inside of it. I remember I was supposed to do seminars, and I was supposed to do a seminar at the home show here in Linden, and it was one of my first ones, and I got this infection on my hand, and I had to go to the the urgent care that morning because I couldn't get my rings off, and I was really panicking because my hand was swollen. And she was like, "Oh, well, you just got a bit of a staph infection on your finger." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have bumblefoot."
Bumblefinger.
Yes. Doesn't have the same ring to it. So I thought that was funny, and I had to call the people at the home show and say, "Hey, I don't know if I can come because I've got this bumblefoot infection."
And Nathan says quail get it too.
Oh yeah, I would imagine really any bird could get it, that particular area.
So this Prid, is that something available at Tractor Supply? People are asking.
I don't know. I don't think you can get it at Tractor Supply because don't quote me on that, but it is a human grade product. It's for humans.
Oh, so you can get it at Walmart.
I think you can get it at Walmart. But, participating stores, you'd have to check and see if your Walmart has it. But I have heard people getting it from Walmart. And you can certainly get it on Amazon. I knew somehow we would be talking about chickens.
Well, and I see that in 3 years we're looking forward to another presidential race coming up.
Look, if my chickens could vote, if my chickens could write, I know that they would vote for me. So.
Well, no, hold on, because Ben's in the room here with 180.
Yeah.
He has a rather large following.
Jeez. Chickens and cows and yeah, really. Big Dreams. Anne Marie's asking, do ducks get bumblefoot also?
Yes, they get it more than chickens. They're more susceptible to it than chickens.
Okay. And Nathan Gardner, what would you suggest to anyone that is interested in starting a chicken Salvation Farm? Salvation Farm? I don't know. Salvation Farm? I'm going to say, I'm not sure what exactly he's asking.
Could be so.
Like a rescue?
Sounds like it.
Maybe
yeah.
a rescue farm, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
Build a big coop.
I was gonna say, I didn't,
Build a coop that's a lot bigger than you think you need. Because there's a lot of chickens out there that need rescuing.
really.
Yeah.
I
I do volunteer for the Humane Society, and I do a class for them every year for my local Humane Society. And there's a really good one up here. They take farm animals, and they have a wildlife department where they take wildlife, deer, and all that kinds of stuff, bald eagles. But every year there's chickens, chickens are the new dog, I say. People are getting chickens, and which is great. I love that. I love the idea. More people having chickens, a chicken in every yard. But there is a bit of a learning curve there, and people don't completely know exactly what they're getting into. They don't understand that hens have a laying life that may not be as long as you want to keep them.
well,
They don't realize that if you hatch out eggs, you're going to get roosters, and so chickens get dumped a lot. They get dumped in the woods. They get dumped at other people's farms. They get dumped in front of the Humane Society. So there's lots of rescue chickens out there. Actually, Chickenlandia has a vacancy right now, but I haven't had room in a really long time. And I would love maybe someday. I like living in the city, so it's tough, but I would like to have more land so that I could have emus. Or at least more chickens.
Sydney is asking, what would you do different if you could start all over again?
I guess start over from where, the beginning? Or just the beginning of Chickenlandia. I think I would try, if we're just talking about my YouTube channel, I think at the beginning when I was doing just one video a week, I would concentrate more on learning Premiere and not just kind of stick with my little crutch, which is iMovie. I really want to learn more in Premiere, but it's hard now that I'm doing two videos a week, plus a live, plus raising 2 kids and having a family and having 5 little rescue dogs. I don't have a lot of time, so it's hard for me to say, okay, I'm going to take a whole day trying to learn how to do this video in Premiere when I know I can do it in an hour in iMovie. So I wish I would have worked more on Premiere at the beginning, because at some point I'm going to have to do it because I will outgrow iMovie, hopefully.
And that's
So, I can't think of really anything else. I mean, it's a process. I started out with a selfie stick in my phone, and I had no idea when I made that first video. I had no idea that I was really gonna do a YouTube channel, and I loved it. It became like this passion, and the same thing happened when I got chickens. It was like this boulder rolling down a hill where you can't stop it. It's just it doesn't feel like work. It feels like destiny. And I'm getting really deep here, but I'm telling you the truth. That's really how I feel. So, and ultimately, with Chickenlandia, I love teaching. I love giving information. But what I love so much about chickens, and I'm going to plug my TEDx talk right now. I did do a TEDx talk about chickens. And a lot of it is about humanity, because I always look at the flock and I think about how can I see how humans are through my flock. And my tagline of my channel, which would be great if you could think about this and come up with one for your channel, is that I'm bringing people together through humankind's most amazing common denominator, the chicken. Because chickens are part of almost all over the world, part of our lives, very intertwined in our lives. So I think in a time when we're really divided and there's really a lot of conflict everywhere on social media, on television, or just constantly being bombarded with that, if we could just stop and say, oh, you know what, we can come together in Chickenlandia because we both love chickens. That's my goal.
Okay, and we've had a couple people talking in here, and I see that somebody said that they just bought Premiere Elements, and they're stating, it's a one-time fee and so forth. Well, yeah, sort of, but it will become outdated because you don't get free upgrades with it. Just want you to be made aware of that.
I don't know that much about Elements. I'm pretty sure that's what Green Dream Project uses, and that obviously is working quite well for them. I have Premiere Pro, which is expensive.
The whole Adobe suite is expensive now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're bad products. I'm not saying that at all. But I certainly would not encourage anybody that's getting started into YouTube to commit to the amount of money that outgoes from that.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason that I got Premiere Pro at the beginning, when I wasn't really, as immersed in it as I am now, is that I used to go on location a lot and do a show called Chickenlandia Stories, which I don't do that much anymore because people didn't watch them that much. But, and so I would go to people's houses, and naturally, I'm videoing, I'm not really thinking, and there's their address or their license plate in the video, and I don't really want to have that in the video, even in the absence of the street that they live on. I still don't want to have their address number there. So, but I realized that I can't blur it out the way that I couldn't blur it out the way that I wanted to in iMovie, and so that's why I started using Premiere. But it's a big learning curve for me. There's a lot. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with it. Like, they're making big, huge movies with it. And when I started editing, when I learned how to edit in film class, it was like you were editing with film, and you had like a whole room where you were editing in. And now you can do it on your phone.
Ben VW Farm is asking, what app are most people using for thumbnails? I'll give you my take on it. Easiest app to use for thumbnails is a video editor of your choice that you use, that you're used to using. That's an ideal piece to use for thumbnails. Now, you may have to do some resizing. There may have to be some other things done. And if that being the case, if it's a PC, I recommend you use Paint.net because it's the equivalent of Photoshop in a free open source edition. If you want a Mac, go ahead and go with Photoshop. If you want to spend that kind of money, but there's other alternatives as well. GIMP would be another good one, because at that point you're not doing so much in manipulation other than just size wise and maybe creating some different layers and putting some text on or something along that. But very very simple things to do. If you're used to using an editor, you already have your subject matter out there, and you can pull frames out of it, create whatever kind of thumbnails you want. You have a whole suite of fonts and text that you can put on the thumbnail. You have color boards you can add and take away, so everything's right there at your fingertips.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
I use Canva, and I also use another one that I cannot remember the name. But lately I've been using Canva a lot.
Why?
I started cutting out, and I use a different program for this. It's called like Burner or something. I apologize. I cannot remember the name of it. But I've been cutting out my selfie, and maybe I'm holding a chicken or whatever, and I cut it out, and then I layer that on top of a scene. So I did one recently about how to fix mud in your chicken yard. And in that one, I had, I was holding my little chicken, my little tiny chicken, and it's just like a cutout of me and my chicken. And then in the back behind me, there's a bunch of mud with like boots stuck in the mud. And it says mud hack on it because it's a chicken coop hack. I have a series of coop hacks that I did or that I'm doing. So that's fun, to be able to like layer photos onto each other.
But Photoshop will do that just fine.
Yeah, but I don't have Photoshop.
Oh, really? You have Premiere Pro and not Photoshop? That's
I
interesting.
probably have it, but I don't I've never used it. I may have it. It may be an option, but I'm not sure, and I just didn't start out with that.
Okay.
And Canva is a lot it's like a really dumbed down version, I would imagine, of Photoshop, because you can't do as much. For sure, you can't do as much on it.
Yeah, the problem I find with Canva is it's great to get started. If you're just getting started, by all means, go use it. Use the free version. Don't give them any money, but you're gonna outgrow it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I do pay for it, so it has a few more bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's working for me right now for what I'm doing.
And that's what works. And if it works for you, the biggest problem that I have is somebody getting started, and I work a lot with folks just getting started. That's the whole reason we started doing the Tech Tuesdays and the reviews on Thursdays, was for the smaller channels they're just getting going. We never got any help. We looked for help when we were getting started. Nobody give us the time of day. Nobody. If they did look at the channel, you didn't get honest, critical help in any way, shape, or form. And so we decided we're going to try to help folks. And we kind of feel that our channel is like maybe just a step between, say, a Brian G. Johnson or Daryl Leaves. And in other words, we're not that advanced for people, but we can take more time because we're not so big either. So.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm loving it, especially tonight.
So the whole idea is, we're trying to help people get into this in a very reasonable cost thing, and yet not take them down a path where we'll spend $20 here and then spend $60 over there, and that'll last you for 6 months, and then you're going to outgrow it. Now you got to go spend another $120. I don't want to do that to folks. I'd much rather put them on open source software, make it with something that they're either not going to outgrow or it's going to last them a long time. And that's just the way we approach it.
Yeah. I think that's a very valid point. Because there's certainly, and no amount of bells and whistles. You can have everything. You can have all the nice equipment. You can have the best editing tools. But there's some basic, honestly, there's basic storytelling skills that cannot, that none of that can replace that. So, in my opinion, the most important thing to work on is the story. In my very humble opinion.
Okay. Well, we've been going here for just a minute shy of 2 hours.
Yes.
I know. I didn't turn into a pumpkin. I thought I would turn into a pumpkin or a chicken after an hour.
She messaged me earlier on Facebook. She says, "How long is it?" I said, "An hour." Well, made a liar out of me.
Daryl told me the truth.
At least
he said, "Well, it's going to be as long as it is."
At least it's not Thursday when it's 4 hours. That started as an hour show too.
Oh, I can't do that. I don't know how you
Lord.
guys do that. I couldn't do that.
God.
I'll pass out.
All right. There's another question in the chat here. It says, getting started on homesteading, what is the best starter camera for a YouTuber? I'm gonna say this. If you have a smartphone, use that to start with.
I still use it.
Yeah. We use phones all the time. After you become very accustomed with that, my question then to you is, do you want to use it just for YouTube, or you have some photography skills that you'd like to exploit and take some other pictures and stuff? That's going to depend on what kind of camera you get too. Do you want a camcorder or a camera? There is a difference. There's a huge difference between them. Do you want a lot of zoom and stuff? But if you want some overall easy talk things, you want something that you can take a decent picture that doesn't take a lot of skill. Almost a point and shoot, something you can put in your pocket, something that's easy to carry around. It would behoove you to get some type of a camera that you can add an external microphone, because built-in microphones on cameras are inherently bad. They're just not there for any type of high fidelity. So have something you can hook up an external microphone. Plus, that also gives you the ability to go with remote wireless microphones, where maybe you're a little distance away from the camera, or you can use a lapel mic or something without having to be wired to the camera. Most of your more expensive cameras, your SLRs and stuff, you're good for 30 minutes and they shut off. They just turn off. And you have to restart your camera. Well, that can certainly, unless you're planning for that can certainly blow your video in a big way. Not all cameras are like that. Good pocket camera you can just throw in your pocket would be like a GoPro 7 with the stabilization.
Can you add an external mic to a GoPro?
Yes, you can.
Because I have a little GoPro, but I haven't figured out how to do that.
Well, generally speaking, I shouldn't say generally speaking, there's a mic adapter, and I don't know what model GoPro you have.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But there's a USB-C port on that camera, and there's an adapter that you can then plug a mic into that on the low GoPros. A good pocket camera would be the Canon G7X Mark III. Anything earlier than a Mark III is all internal mics. Mark IIIs or later have external mics. You're looking at $650, $700 for that camera.
I have when I got really serious, I've had a couple cameras. But when I really started moving around a lot and going outside a lot and just vlogging, doing more of a vlog style thing, I got the Canon M50.
M50's that was going to be the next one I said.
Oh, I love that camera. I love it.
The Canon M50 is a mirrorless camera, and that just means that it's lighter weight. And for the type of stuff that any YouTuber does, mirrorless is fine, absolutely fine. You don't have to have through the lens focusing capabilities.
I have an SLR too. It's the Canon 500D. Can't remember what it's called. in the States. I think it's 500D. Or, yeah, 200D? I can't remember. And it's heavy. It's a great camera. It's a really good camera, but it was too heavy for me to be carrying around the chicken yard.
Yeah.
On a stick,
Yeah, big full frame camera. Yeah, they're heavy, they're bulky, they're good for 30 minutes, and then you got to start it over again. Yes, no? I'm looking.
I think so, but
yeah.
The way that I film, I'm not going to be sitting there talking for 30 minutes, like in one shot. I will do usually it's about 5 minutes of talking. And then I'll stop, I'll move to a new location, or I'll start walking, or I'll do something to keep the movement in the video, to keep it moving forward.
Well,
sometimes I have sat in front of the camera and talked, but if I do that, I'm going to use a lot of B-roll, and I'm going to use cutaway shots.
She's been here for 2 hours tonight.
I didn't hear what you just said.
I said you've been here for 2 hours tonight in front of the camera.
I know. You should see how long I can talk about chickens live,
So
I do a 3-hour chicken class at the community college here.
Yeah, well, and of course, this comes down to style with the individual. Invariably, and this is an opinion that I have, if you do the type of filming like you're talking about, I'm going to turn it on for 10 minutes and do my thing, and then kind of wait and go on down the road and then do another segment. Invariably, if I tried to do something like that, I'm not saying this would ever happen to you, but if I tried to do something like that, when that camera was off was when something would have happened that I wish it would have been on.
Well, that has happened, especially with chickens.
Oh, it has happened. Okay.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
So my style is get it all on film and cut out what I don't want in the editing.
Oh, well, I certainly do that too. Like there's very rarely going to be now, the way that I do it now, there would very rarely be a video where I'm standing in one place talking for 5 minutes straight. Because I think it's harder to hold people's attention when you do that. So I might shoot for 5 minutes straight, and I might use all that footage, or I might cut it up a little bit. Probably I'm going to be cutting it up. But I'm also going to be using like cutaway shots and B-roll and just things to propel the video forward.
The fact of the matter is, if somebody's a little bit resourceful, you can go out. If you have a laptop computer or even a tablet, and get yourself a little. Well, you don't even have to do this, but you could get a small webcam for $39. You can actually make a pretty darn decent video with that setup right there. Just an old tablet and a webcam, or use the camera in the tablet, depending if it's still robust enough to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to use your imagination. But no, we're more than happy to talk about any of those things. The problem I have is that it's hard for me. I can't really recommend any one given camera. If you tell me, I want to do something that I can set the camera back on a tripod and just leave it go for a couple hours while I'm working on the car and it's going to catch all this, well, you want a camcorder then. You don't want a camera. And of course, to me, big features are stability, optical stabilization. What is the focus area on the camera? Do you want something that you can get real close, or is that something that's never important to you? So those are things you have to decide. And of course, you want something that's rugged. You don't want to be afraid of using it. So you also don't want a real. I mean, cameras are expensive. There's no getting around it. But you don't want something that costs you $1,000 that if you breathe on it wrong, it's out of whack.
I'm pretty sure my camera has chicken poop particles on it. What can I do?
A little air duster and.
Oh, I do use that. I do clean it. I mean.
All right. So, having said all the above, all of that stuff, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Maybe we can carry this on. We've gone over 2 hours tonight. I'm not going to keep her any longer, but we'll certainly have her back. And
thank you. I love being here.
And I hope everybody got to take something away from this tonight. If you've got any questions, send us an email to familyhomestead@gmail.com. I also want to mention to you, it's almost Thanksgiving. Everybody have a great holiday. We probably are not going to be doing anything Thursday because we're gonna be out of town. So we're probably not going to do our live stream Thursday. Probably. Don't know.
Oh, so it was okay for us to do it the afternoon I got home from the hospital. Looking at Dahlia. I'm not even looking at the screen. I could hear her snickering over there.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Well, absolutely, that's fine. But if we're not going to be here, it's a little bit difficult to do. Oh, my.
Busted, huh?
So busted.
Oh, yes.
Hey, I just want to say, guys, you're always welcome in Chickenlandia.
I watch your videos.
Thank you.
And you getting that tattoo, whoa. That was cool.
I do have a chicken tattoo.
Yes, you do.
If you want to see it, you got to watch the video.
That young lady did an awesome job.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. More power to you. I have 3 holes in each ear, and that's as far as I'm going to go. I've had enough eating needles on me.
All right. So, having said that, just remember, especially when you're among family and everything.
Oh, Lordy, here we go.
If you hold your nose, you can't hum. Take care, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.